Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Mark, do you still have that special offer for our listeners?
We do. Thank you for mentioning it, Jim. It's at VRTrader.com. That's VR, Victor Robert, Trader.com. VR stands for Volume Reversal, which is my technical indicator. And when you go to the website and you pick out a newsletter you would like to subscribe to, in the promo code section of the order form, you enter the code 2020 half off. 2020 HALFOFF, and that gets you 50% off. Thank you for mentioning it.
Gold and silver are really taking off right now. Is this a trend a lot of people missed, and is it a trend that's going to continue?
Well, it's a yes and no answer. I think yes over the near term. A little bit on the longer term, I'm more concerned that this could be a big bubble, and we could go higher, and then it could burst and surprise a lot of the bulls, but we're not at that point yet. But that's sort of my longer-term view, that deflationary forces can hit in a way that will affect stocks and gold and surprise the bulls. So, whether gold's 2,000 or 3,000 when that happens, we'll just have to monitor the indicator. That's sort of my overall theoretical position. Obviously, like anything else, we have to look at the real numbers and the technical events that are occurring on the charts and the news and put all the pieces together. But I'm sort of seeing this whole move in gold as a bull trap. Doesn't mean you can't make money, and you can argue that even for the stock market at certain points during the various cycles. So I don't want to sound overly pessimistic, but I think there could be a deflationary spiral at some point. But right here, everything seems to be in gear. We actually sold a bunch of stuff in the last few days, thinking we were going to get a pullback, thinking that we just got too carried away. Silver in the mid-20s and gold approaching that 2,000 level, and everybody on the media talking about it, and they're pounding their table about it, and it seemed like it was due for some type of pullback. Plus, as you probably know, a lot of the move was tied, at least partially tied, to the weakness in the U.S. dollar. Though this doesn't always happen. I should point out, over the years that I've tracked this, there are periods of time where gold doesn't necessarily go inverse to the U.S. dollar, though in this particular time frame it did. So U.S. dollar is really oversold here. It hasn't really started to rally yet. Many are expecting, a recovery bounce here at some point. I don't argue with them. Could happen, and that could put more pressure on gold and silver, theoretically short term, if it still follows that same inverse relationship. But what could fool everyone is maybe the dollar doesn't rally so much, and maybe gold just goes sideways here a little bit and then continues going higher. So we just have to sort of decide, are you a trader day to day, week to week, or are you taking more of a near-term view? If you're taking a near-term view, I would say the winds are at your back overall, though we may get a little bit of a pullback like I just mentioned, or maybe we already experienced part of it. And then our original cyclical work sort of pointed to the third and fourth quarter of this year, and we're starting to enter the third quarter now, that this would be a strong time for gold and silver. Of course, we've got a lot of uncertainties out there, and we don't have to list all those. Everybody can open the newspaper or watch television and see what's going on. So there could be, not a positive action here, into the first part of next year. So if I was already in gold and gold stocks, in silver, I would hold on. If you're a trader, you try to fish a little bit because, we do a lot of in and out stuff as well. And you try to fish for, a re-entry point if you sold like we did, last few days, thinking we can scalp it a little bit. If the dollar does take off, Jim, and really has a big rally here, then it could be a real nasty sell-off, and, gold could drop, $100 to $200 an ounce and fool everybody before it goes up again, which I still think will happen. So it's, when you start getting to these high numbers and a lot of bullish enthusiasm and, exuberance, you run the risk of a blow-off type action. So I think we had a little bit of a blow-off type action here just the last few days. And I would just be a little careful about going whole hog, into the market if you're not already in at lower prices. But I think if you just want to take a bullish position and sit for now until the beginning of next year, more or less, I think you're okay. So that's sort of our view. I don't have a specific target for you, though I can fantasize about numbers in gold and silver, about what they could do. We like to sort of watch the trend and play it as it moves higher. You hear all kinds of projections based in U.S. dollars that gold's going to go to 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, all these numbers. And listen, what I've seen in the stock market and the volatility we've seen in some individual stocks following this big panic in March, anything is possible with the Fed printing money like crazy and foreign currencies in trouble and all kinds of riots in the streets and political uncertainty. So maybe the crazy big numbers are not so crazy anymore.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what's your overall market outlook?
My overall opinion of the stock market is bullish. I think that we have a little concern with the election coming up, obviously, in November. When I say that's overall, so I'm just giving you an overall perspective, over the next several months to year. Between now and the fall, however, I think we have a little bit of a worrisome period. The old sell may go away, which really didn't affect the NASDAQ names. That did affect a little bit of the S&P Dow Industrial total stock market index type names. We have the election coming up in November, and here in the U.S., a lot of uncertainty regarding that. We're entering a sort of a dog days of summer scenario here in August and September and into October before the fall, where, traditionally you can get, some type of shakeout anyway. So, a little cautious here over the next 30 to 90 days. We're still trading individual stocks. There's always something coming up. There's always action everywhere. For example, one stock which we missed, which we saw on our list, was Eastman Kodak, which went from $2 to $60 in the last 2 days. A story that the U.S. government was funding them to develop pharmaceutical ingredients here in the U.S. so the U.S. wouldn't be so dependent on China. So I was looking at this $2 stock, and suddenly it's 60, and now it's backed off. But, when you see these type of moves, there's all these kind of trading opportunities which could still occur through the summer. So my bet would be short term, a little indigestion here between now and September or so. And that could apply to some of the gold stocks, too, as well, and gold as well, as I mentioned a moment ago. And then, strength from there, possibly dramatically higher if Trump gets reelected. If Biden gets in, which, by the way, we may not know so fast, the way it takes time to count the votes and go through the process, I think the market could have another setback. That's sort of my gut feeling. So, but the point I want to make here, and I sort of hinted at that a few moments ago, is no matter who is president in the United States, we all have bull and bear markets. For example, when Ronald Reagan was president back in the late 80s, we had the 1987 stock market crash, and that was a Republican administration, for example. So you can have super bear moves under Republican or Democratic administrations, or bull moves under both. So, the Democrats come in, market sells off, worrying about raising of taxes, worrying about restricting business, and they start printing money like crazy, and it pumps the stock market back up again. So, all kinds of scenarios can unfold here, no matter who is sitting, controlling the reins in Washington. So that's sort of the comment I would make. It seems like, follow the dollar. Democrats, no matter how liberal or socialistic or communistic or Marxist or whatever you think they are, look, we have communist Chinese billionaires, and even though they're communists, they like to make money. So I think ultimately, like I say, money sort of drives the world here, and if it takes certain actions on their part to get the stock market up, they'll probably pull that cord and get stocks moving again. So I think over the century we've seen a stock market generally move higher, having its fits and starts along the way, but inflationary forces, money printing, and the greed of higher stock prices, I think will ultimately result in a higher market. So if I was a young man looking to put money in the market long term, I would say go for it. Dow Industrial sitting at 27,000 could be 60,000 in 10 or 15 years, and it makes no difference who's in control. So long-winded response to your question. Overall bullish, a little cautious over the short term here, and let's sort of hold our breath around the election.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after the break.
Cypress Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, can you tell us a bit about your volume reversal model that's been so successful?
The volume reversal is the VR and VRtrader.com, Jim, and it was an indicator that I developed many years ago working with a senior technician by the name of Roger Cole, and embellished it a little bit, got it programmed, and also I was inspired by some of my floor trading experiences when I used to be a member of the Chicago Board Options Exchange and the prior Midwest Stock Exchange. And it basically comes down to volume precedes price, and it's a technical tool. I have it up on my screen. It's not something you can readily avail yourselves of when you go to most platforms, but you can get it at two platforms that I have an agreement with, and one is Metastock, so metastock.com, or TradeStation.com, and these are platforms where, as you know, you can display charts, and I think TradeStation, you have a brokerage situation there as well where they execute trades and so forth. Metastock, I think, is just purely a technical stock and commodity platform where you can put up charts. So you go to one of these two platforms, and you can sign up for the VR volume reversal. It's known as an add-on indicator, and when you sign up for it, when you pull up your chart, you'll see my little VRs, negative and positive, up on the screen, and they give you a sense of short-term timing in the market. Negative implying that you should drop after the signal, and positive VR or rally afterwards. And I have to say, over the years, I would say it's a good 70-80% reliability that when you get a positive and negative VR, you get follow through in that direction on a trading basis, and you can also use these on a weekly, monthly charts and get a sense of where volume is moving. So it's a great indicator. It is unique. It's not something that's on every platform. It gives you a little bit of a competitive edge, and certainly you can tie it in to any other indicators you might be using. So VR is available at Metastock or TradeStation as an add-on indicator. Hopefully that answers your question.
Any particular sectors or trades that are grabbing your attention right now?
Yeah, still looking at those cannabis stocks coming off a bit of a bottom here, and they're floundering a little bit, but still, forming a little bottom, and much of it may have to do with anticipation regarding legalization in the U.S., assuming there's a Democratic victory. And who knows, Donald Trump's a pretty savvy guy. I mean, he may fool the Democrats and send out or issue some executive order and legalize the whole darn thing even before November, and maybe something is in the wind here because they are starting to uptick, and there's some better names than others, but they're certainly cheap. And we added a few to our trading portfolio. We have one of our newsletters is the VR Canna sector letter, where we focus exclusively on the cannabis marijuana names, but on our regular trading stuff, we're also in there as well because they're starting to show some action. And gold we already discussed. Pullbacks are buys here for further gains in the months ahead. Still like the solar stocks. They made a big move, but I think they're cheap compared to where they could ultimately go. A lot of push toward solar energy and alternate energy. And like I say, if you pull up some bigger picture charts of some of these solar stocks, they're still way down from where they were, over 10 years ago. So a lot of money could be flowing into that area, and still looks, awfully interesting to us. So I would say those are the two. We're always looking at individual stock trades, like we mentioned Kodak a few moments ago in our interview about something popping up out of nowhere. But there's always something, and those are the two that sort of are attracting most of our attention. I'm not paying much attention to the vaccine stocks, the virus situation. I think most of these stocks have made such dramatic moves already. I'm not saying they can't go further, but since March we've seen tremendous gains. Some of these stocks up 10, 20 times in value already. You can't say that for the cannabis stocks. You can't say that for the solar stocks. So I think there may be some trades, in the quote-unquote vaccine scenario, but we're not really paying much attention to it. And between you and me, I'm not much a believer in vaccines anyway, which is not the conventional view. So I'm not that excited about a vaccine.
Mark, could you again please remind people about the special offer?
Yeah, sure. It's at vrtrader.com. VR is Victor Robert, vrtrader.com, and you go to the order page, and in the promo code section, enter the phrase 2020 half off, 2020 HALF OFF, and you get 50% off of any newsletter you sign up for. Thank you again for mentioning it.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.